Well, it was a great team win for us on the road against a conference opponent. I thought the team from start to finish played with great energy. It was really exciting to see them root for each other, rally for each other. Just very fulfilling as a head coach to watch the team prepare that week and then carry it into the game from the practice field, because we had an outstanding week of practice. Offensively, some goals going into the game were 0 turnovers. We accomplished that. The players were very good with the football. We did lay one on the ground that we recovered, but that puts us at +5 on the year. And I told the players, you know, we're not big into stats, but there is one stat at the end of the year that's going to be relevant to our win-loss record, and that's turnovers. And right now we're sitting at +5, and that's a good start for us. We talked about, again, starting fast. We had a touchdown on our first drive, an outstanding throw and catch and finish from Jamil to Jaquan White, and got the team very energized. I thought Jamil's play was extremely efficient throughout the entire game, making plays with his legs, making good decisions in the run, read, pass game, and some accurate throws. He was 12 of 18, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, but more importantly, no interceptions, no fumbles. He managed the clock extremely well. And he threw the ball to close to a 67% success rate. That's right where we expect him to be, and he's been performing at that level the past few weeks. 7 different players caught the ball for us, and we had our highest per catch average that we had the entire year, 15.9 per catch. Was more explosive plays down the field, and as I mentioned before, the 2 touchdowns. One of the goals going into the game was to steal 2 possessions from UTSA in the form of controlling the clock, and there's a lot of things that go into that. Eliminating negative plays, putting ourselves in manageable third downs, controlling the tempo, and we did that. We held the ball for 39 minutes and 12 seconds, so that's 2 less possessions that they had that we got on offense. And really the most impressive drive to me was at the end of the game when we held the ball for over 7 minutes against an excellent UTSA defense and ended the game in a victory formation. And that just shows the willpower of this team, that they wanted to be on the field and finish that game on offense, and they controlled the clock doing that. I really felt offensively we had to fight for every inch against that defense. I felt going into the game, and I still feel this way, that was one of the best defenses in Conference USA. Very stout up front, and last year a team that really physically manhandled us up front, and it wasn't the case the other night. I thought our young offensive line did an excellent job, and again, there was times they lost the battle, but all in all, they won the war up front, and again, we had to fight for every single inch we got, but I was very pleased with their effort. Defensively, as I mentioned after the game, I've been around a lot of good defenses, a lot of good defensive performances, and that may be the best performance I've ever been a witness to. Shutout, only 2 first downs, 1 in each half, and team just flying around with energy and playing the game the way it's supposed to be played. It was very energizing to our entire team. It was very energizing to me. I love watching great defensive football, and that was as good a display that I've seen in a very long time, if not ever. One of the goals going into the game was rattle their quarterback, number 3. I felt we accomplished that. We had 3 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. He had 1 interception that we returned for a touchdown with Jimmy Musgrave. We wanted to make it a 3rd and long game for them. We wanted to shut down the run game. We accomplished that in a big way. Number 2, a very solid tailback for them, had 6 carries for 13 yards. Number 11, very solid tailback for them, had 5 carries for 16 yards, and we had 6 tackles for losses behind the line of scrimmage. So the defense was on point in stopping the run game. And it did put them in kind of tough situations in third downs, and they were 1 of 14, which really puts us right at 31% on the year. Our defense has been doing an outstanding job really all season long getting off the field on third downs. 31% is an excellent success rate. We wanted to start fast on the defensive side of the ball. We accomplished that. They had 7 straight 3-and-outs. They didn't get their first down until midway through the second quarter, and then they only had 2 for the game. We only gave up 1 in the second half as well. Goal going into the game was to force 2 turnovers. We did that. We had a fumble recovery forced by Nick Gaithright that was recovered by Kelvin Fisher Jr., and then we had the interception return for a touchdown. We had another forced fumble by Nick Gaithright that did not get recovered by us. We had an opportunity to get 3. We talked as a defense to be ready early for something new from them. They run a multiple offense. They did a lot of different things, and they really ran pretty much every run that you could possibly imagine that first half. They were running option. They were running their power reads, their inside zones. We saw it all, and I think the defense really responded well to that. But, again, 70 total yards, 2 total first downs, and our first shutout win on the road since 1988. That's a long time coming to have a performance like that. And, again, it was due to their energy, and their energy carried over from the practice field to the game, and it was fun to see. Special teams, I thought it was an outstanding performance by the special teams. Jay Maddox had an outstanding day. Field goal wise, he was 2 for 2. He had a 20-yard field goal. He had a 47-yard field goal that he banged through. He was also 4 for 4 on PAT. He had 4 touchbacks on kickoff cover. They had only 1 return the entire game. But most impressively was his punting. Jay's a very good athlete. We had seen him in practice in a roll punt mode. As I mentioned last week, we're not going to sit pat and expect to do the same things over and over again with different results if we have a problem. We're going to try to find solutions. The solution for us was changing our punting schematics into a roll punt, something he does very well, and he gets the ball out very quickly, something that we were struggling with. And he's got a very good knack for the roll punting. So it was probably a big decision on our part during the middle of the season to change something like that, but a change was needed. And it ended up paying off for us because we played with the flip field the entire night. He pinned them down inside the 10 4 times, which is very hard to do. That also has to do with protection and coverage. He pinned them down at the 2, he pinned them at the 6 twice, and he pinned them at the 8. As good as a punting performance as I've seen. He was a 46-yard average, but more importantly, a 44.3-yard net. It was an outstanding night by him. Punt return. Damian Payne had a 16-yard return, which is excellent. He also had a 28-yard return that was called back due to a block in the back. So we got to do some improvement there. I thought our kickoff coverage was good. We had 4 touchbacks. We had a good sky kick. They only averaged 18 yards per return. That unit's been outstanding the entire year. And we only had 1 kickoff return, but it was only for 19 yards below our standards. We had 2 missed blocks on that opportunity to return that one. So all in all, a very good night. Offensively, defensively, and special teams. It was a great team win. And again, we need to bounce back. I don't know if that's the proper term, but just as quickly from a big win as we do a big loss. And that has to do with the maturity of your team. When we lost to Louisiana Tech a few weeks back, I really felt that was time for our senior leadership to show, and it showed in a big way. They came back that Tuesday ready to work. Well, sometimes after a big win like this, the same mentality has to hold true. So I expect these guys to have the maturity to come back on Tuesday, ready to work, focused, and ready to go, because last week means nothing. Everything points focus now towards Southern Miss and playing a home game in front of our great fans here in El Paso. Talking about Southern Miss, I think they're one of the most talented teams athletically in Conference USA. This has been their schedule. They've played Alabama at Alabama. They played #1 ranked Mississippi State at Mississippi State. They beat North Texas, who was a bowl team last year, at their place handily. And they played Rice, Middle Tennessee, and Louisiana Tech, arguably 3 of the top teams in our conference, down to the wire. This is a very talented team, a lot of athletes on both sides of the ball. Offensively, they had 506 yards against North Texas 2 weeks ago when they beat them. Their quarterback, number 9, He's got close to 2,000 yards passing and 10 touchdowns already. Now, he was injured on the 7th play of this past game, so we're going to have to kind of monitor the progress of his injury status. But the guy that came in, number 11, had 338 yards and a touchdown last week against Louisiana Tech and kept those guys in the game the entire time. So, again, might be a situation where we got to prepare for 2 quarterbacks again, but they seem to run pretty much the same system when this guy was in the ball game. Kind of running back by committee for them. Number 24's got 6 touchdowns. Number 25's got 283 yards. He's also their kick returner. A very big physical group of wide receivers. Number 88. He's 6'1". He's averaging 15.3 per reception. He's got 5 touchdowns, 474 yards. Number 83, who's also their punt returner, has 44 receptions. He leads their team. 23 is about 6'4", 230 at a wide receiver position. He's averaging 12-1 a catch. And number 6 is 6'2". He's got 246 yards, 11.2, and 2 touchdowns. So. Great size at the receiver position, great depth, and these guys can run. Very athletic group of receivers. Defensively, they've got some very athletic defensive linemen. Number 45 has had great production for them. Defensive end, he's got 38 tackles. He's got 10 tackles for losses himself, 4.5 quarterback sacks, 4 quarterback hits. The other defensive end, number 94, has got 3 sacks, 3 tackles for losses, 2 quarterback hits. So getting good production from their ends. They got a very stout defensive tackle that's played for them for a while, a 6'2", 305-pound defensive tackle who's got 9 stops behind the line of scrimmage, 35 tackles, and 4 quarterback hits, 1 sack. So great D-line production for them. Their leading tackler is number 39, very stout linebacker, 248 pounds. He's got 54 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 fumble. So good production from the linebacker core. They got a strong safety that'll hit you. He lines up in the box primarily as a run stopper. He's a hitter, number 28. And then they've got 3 defensive backs that have 2 interceptions each. Good production from them. Number 17, 13, 11. So they forced 14 turnovers on defense. They have had some rush yard against them, but a lot of that came early in the year against an excellent Alabama and Mississippi State team. Special teams, their punter is returning. He's got a 38-yard average. Teams have been averaging 6.9 per return against them. Their punt returner is excellent. One of their starting wide receivers, number 83, he's kind of like their little Wes Welker in there as a slot receiver, leads their team in receptions, but he's also averaging 11.2 yards per punt return. That's the second highest average that we've faced all year. Kickoff return by committee, number 88, one of their receivers got a 21-yard average, and then number 25, the running back, has a 23-yard average. So very stout there in their kickoff return. Their kickoff cover team has been averaging 24.7 against them. And then PAT field goal, they got a kicker with a very strong leg. He kicked 3 field goals against North Texas. He's 16-19 with a long of 52. So very solid special teams. Very athletic, active defense, and offense. They really like to chunk the ball, are all over the place. They play a lot of what we call 10 personnel with 4 wide receivers. They will jump in some 20 personnel with 2 backs, and they do try to establish a run game, but all in all, they try to get it in the hands of their big playmakers, and they've got plenty of them. So it's going to be a big chore for us getting prepared for this team. Football is a game where you got to wipe the last game clean quickly. We have what we call a 24-hour rule. Whether you win a game or whether you lose a game, when you wake up on Monday, that thing's over and you're getting prepared for your next game. We're doing that as a staff, and I'm really banking on the maturity of the senior leaders in this team to bounce back again on Tuesday and come energized and ready to work. Any questions?
Coach, how do you deal, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, but how do you kind of deal with success and expectations that these guys haven't had yet?
Really, I only know one way is just go back and work hard. And, I think they can draw from an experience now, though. They really did have their best week of practice, and they had fun at practice. And you know what? They went out and played the game, and they had fun during the game, and they played energized. So you can draw from that experience. You can also draw from experiences where maybe you didn't have the best week of practice and it carried over into the game and you didn't play well. So I think this team is really starting to understand our practice habits throughout the week really do translate into our quality of play on Saturdays, and I really feel they'll come out and practice hard this week.
How much is depth on the
Well, first off, I can't compliment our defensive staff enough. Again, I wiped last year clean because, coming in under that situation, your first meeting with the players is the first meeting of fall camp. You're behind the 8 ball already. And this group that he's coaching this year has bought in 100%. They really are starting to, well, not starting to, they understand the scheme and what's being asked of them, and they're playing with great energy. And that all comes from Coach Stoker and his staff. He's as energetic and as detailed as a coach as I've been around. And I'm excited for him because, his fruits of his hard work are really starting to show on the field.
Coach, 2 first downs, that's nearly impossible. Have you been able to step back and already breaking down game film and everything in the road trip? Have you been able to step back and comprehend that maybe your greatest defensive performance in this school's history?
Yeah, it really was an unbelievable performance. I've never seen a game when there's only 2 first downs. Hope we see more. That'd be awesome. But, I don't think you can bank on that week in, week out. It's just one of those games, probably for UTSA, that game for them was probably like our game against Louisiana Tech. Things just weren't going right for them. A lot of that had to do with our defense, just like a lot of that had to do with Louisiana Tech when we played them. It was just one of those games for them because I think they're an excellent football team. I really do. But, man, our guys were flying around. What they can do, though, is they can bottle that energy because there's no rule that says you can't play with that energy every single week. And if they do that, I really feel good things will come to them because they're excited. They're excited about the way they played, and they should be.
How much do you think the team has improved from the start of fall camp to now?
I think they've matured. They've gone through ups and downs. We started the season extremely fast. They went through in a very emotional loss against Texas Tech, a game that they feel that they should have won, and they bounced back. They went through playing a top 10 team on the road at Kansas State where they were getting thrashed at halftime, and they fought back. And then they went on the road and had a difficult game where basically everything went wrong. And that could have been, in my mind, a turning point one way or the other. Either you come together as a team or you fracture as a team. And I'm proud to say that they came together as a team at that point and decided, you know what, we want to stop the bleeding, enough's enough. And let's play some good quality football, which they really have from the Old Dominion game all the way through the bye week. The effort was outstanding, the preparation for the UTSA game, and they're believing in each other. And the thing that I like the most is they're playing as a team. You should have seen the offense cheering for the defense in that game. You should have seen how energized the defensive players were when the offensive guys were making plays, and even how everybody was excited for Jay Maddox when he was punting inside. That's the most excited I've ever seen a kicker. I didn't even know they got excited. But it was just an energized game, and it was from start to finish. There wasn't any lulls. There wasn't any, here we go, third quarter, we're going to struggle, those type things. They maintained that energy. And we always talk about things you can control. You can control your energy and the passion that you play with. And that's where I've been pleased with the team the last few weeks.
Is there one thing in particular where Southern Miss has kind of turned that corner to be respectable?
The quarterback's outstanding. They got a really good scheme. They can hurt you in a lot of different ways. They're a much improved football team. As I mentioned, the teams that they've taken down to the wire, those are the top teams in our conference. And they beat North Texas, who won 7 games last year at third place. And they played soundly against Mississippi State and Alabama. So this is an excellent football team. When you watch them athletically on film, they've got as many good athletes as anybody that we'll face. And it's going to be a challenge for us, and we understand that. And they're going to come here ready to compete, and we need to get ourselves ready to compete in this game and let it play out.
They kind of sold out to take away the running game of Louisiana Tech and succeeded. Louisiana Tech found other ways to beat them, including targeting the running back in passing game. You have to do that?
Well, we do try to get the ball in our running backs' hands, whether it be through the running game, passing game. You saw Aaron Jones with his 40-yard screen for a touchdown. We've implemented a lot of run-pass reads where if you are really overselling for the run, we do have the option to throw it, and that's been successful for us. We need to be creative and continue to find ways to not be stuck in one mode. And And again, you learn your lessons. We got stuck in one mode against Louisiana Tech, and it didn't fare in our best interest. And I think as a staff we've learned from it. I think as players we've learned from it. And again, I'll make as many mistakes as anybody on our team. But I always tell the players I'll try not to make the same mistakes twice. And as long as we have that mentality and learn from our mistakes and always try to improve to get better, I think we'll be fine.
This season has shown a lot of vast contrasts in how you guys play the ups and downs. I mean, you pitched one of the greatest defensive shutouts in the past 3 weeks over 140 points per game, 140 total points. Do you feel like you found some consistency in these past 2 weeks?
Well, consistency is week to week, so if we start stringing games together with outstanding performances like that, then we'll have found consistency. But we're always searching for consistency on both sides of the ball, and we have a model for what we want, and we have goals set each week for what we want to achieve, and each week is new, and we want to maintain. We have goals set for this game, and we want to go out there and achieve them this week. The key to a good team is stacking wins. We've stacked 2. And then the goal is to stack the 3rd win and just take it 1 week at a time, just like that.
Is this the healthiest you've ever been at this point in the season?
Yeah, we've knock on wood, we've maintained our health. We've really had only one true devastating injury, and that was Jeremiah Lafasa had to have knee surgery, and he's out for the year. But all of the other injuries I would attribute to just playing football. They're football-type injuries. We've got a couple guys banged up, but I would anticipate they'll be ready for the game. And, a lot of that has to do with the players' mentalities, their mental toughness, but attribute a lot of that to Kirk Davis and the strength and conditioning staff. These guys work relentless throughout the year. And then Dawn Hearn and her training staff, they're always working with these athletes. They're tireless in their preparation, getting these guys ready for the game. When you have an excellent strength and conditioning staff and you have an excellent training staff and you have a good mindset with the players, it's amazing how many fewer injuries you have.
Talk about being physically tough. You think Sean kind of set that tone with that first hit, and you think the team's kind of coming together and taking that as an identity of being physical on defense?
Oh, yeah. You talk about starting fast. That first hit on that quarterback, that was a tempo setter, and it certainly energized the sidelines. It energized me. I mean, I love seeing things like that, and it definitely carried into the rest of the game. And you'll see that throughout games. One play can change the momentum of a game. And, you even see they got a TV show called Turning Point where they talk about how turning points change different aspects of the NFL games. And it's true. Well, when you set the tempo early and it carries into the rest of the game, that's what we're searching for. That's what we talk about, starting fast. Anybody else? All right, thanks, guys.